We're live.
All right, what is up, Bridge Runner Nation? This is Cam Wrench. I am back once again, coming off the bench to host for Wesley Harton while he is on his dirt car coverage road trip across the Midwest. Um, I'm so excited for the show that we've got tonight. We have three guests who all participated in the virtual run across Ohio during our COVID-19 quarantine, raising money for Camp Nuhop. Here tonight with us is Jen Call, Trevor Dunlap, Bob Hunter, and as always, the lovely John Dolovacki. Um, this is going to be a great show. I'm so excited for tonight. But before we really dive into our conversation, I want to remind everybody whether you've seen every single live show we've done and every episode of The Rundown, or if this is your first time tuning in, you just heard about us from like the Camp New Hop post maybe, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and introduce yourself there in the chat. Go ahead and ask any and all questions that you have for us or our wonderful guests in the chat there, and we'll try our best to get to them. For me, I'm going to start off with our usual first question of the show, which is, what is everybody drinking tonight? Jen, if you want to lead us off.
Sure. I'm drinking actually it was for the Fuzzy Fandango, a wine that was created to benefit Camp Nuhop.
That's great. And what about you, Trevor?
So I've got the Rheingeist. It is a Space Vibes IPA, and never had it. Saw it in the store, and it was a little spicy at 8.5%. So I thought, a little liquid courage.
Yeah. All right. And what about you, Bob?
Okay, I'm one of those guys. I like my hard cider. So tonight I have a Red's hard cider. That's usually my go-to.
Very nice.
All right.
I'm pulling a Wesley tonight, and I dug deep in the fridge, and I got myself a Busch Light.
It's very,
what was there.
Very OU.
It's what I had, and what I had. So didn't make it to the store, so it'll work out. But it's definitely a Wesley Harton move. So,
for sure. And I have some noon rest, an analogy that my roommate left in our apartment because I am preparing to move from Chicago to Columbus. Should be my last trip tomorrow morning. So got nothing in the fridge right now.
You still made time for us.
Yeah, I was able to. Most of my possessions are in a pile in the middle of the apartment. So left the desk together to post this show because I am really, really stoked on Run Across Ohio and Camp New Hop and everything that Run Across Ohio did for them. So to kind of start and dig into our show here, let's ask each one of the guests, why did you sign up for Run Across Ohio? Jen, if you want to start us off again.
Sure. So my kind of journey with Run Across Ohio started the month before with a 5K a day in May challenge that Brian Poland texted a group of us with the race management team. And I was in the typical quarantine mode. I was on the couch eating ice cream and comfort food and really needed a swift kick in the pants to get going and to get back into a more healthy lifestyle. So that text came through from Brian in April to do the 5K a day in May. And then when he told us about this crazy idea for the Run Across Ohio, I thought, there's my ticket to keep this going. So that's why I kept going and was my motivation to keep moving. So, yeah.
Trevor, what about you?
Yeah, so obviously let's go backwards a little bit. So all good things that are crazy often start with Brian Poland. So I get this phone call from Brian that says, "Hey, Trev, I came up with this idea, and I want to involve Camp Hop." And obviously, I'm the executive director for those of you that don't know me. So I was like, "Okay, tell me more. This is awesome." So he asked the question, "Can we do this?" And he's like, I said, that sounds terrific. And he said, well, we're gonna launch this thing in about 10 days. So let's get going. And holy cow, off we went and involved my team. I had one of my team members join the cause and actually trail Brian and video it and all sorts of stuff like that. So of course I was like, count me in. Let's go. And summer, I need motivation to run. So winter is my shtick. So I need motivation in the summer, and it was great because we really needed the help.
Sounds like you were busy with that. bringing on you with 10 days to go. How about you, Bob? What made you sign up for this race?
Again, numerous races have been canceled or postponed this spring, and I run the miles anyways. I'm one of those guys. I'd rather run and train than race. That's just how I am. And so when I found out that every mile is going to benefit Camp Nuhop, pretty neat place. For a number of years, I've been running over there, the 50K, the fuzzy 50K. So it was a no-brainer. And Brian's a great salesman. I mean, it doesn't take much motivation from him to get me to sign up for stuff he does. So it basically to help the camp out. And again, I'm going to run the miles regardless. So might as well put them to a good cause.
Yeah, that sounds great. And then so it seems like you all came to this from a little bit of a different position, but you all knew Brian Poland too. So what were your guys' sort of like backgrounds going into the run across Ohio? Tell us a little bit about how you think of yourself as a runner, those sorts of things.
Well,
I was gonna say, Jen, if you want to start
yeah,
again.
I'll go first.
Yeah.
I
That's just kind of our order.
do not think of myself as a runner for sure.
Mhm.
I've done a couple of like couch to 5K training things, and just I'm a big running fan. I love
Mhm.
walking, and I do walk very fast. My husband did many, almost every one of the miles from Run Across Ohio with me, and
Mhm.
he was often running to catch up as we're walking because he's the runner and I'm the walker. And so I definitely don't think that. Brian scolds me sometimes and says, you're just not, a fast runner. That's all. And so I came at this from a fitness standpoint, not a runner standpoint. And so yeah, maybe one day, maybe.
Well,
So
Jen, frankly, if you say that you're, a very fast walker and a very good walker, you might want to look into ultras. I hear there's a lot of walking in those.
Oh
Or
yeah.
at the very least, I do a lot of walking when I run them. Just kind of a very motivated shuffle between snack stations in the woods sometimes. But yeah, what about you, Trevor?
So it was an interesting thing for me in the spring because my organization had to pivot this, that, and the other, and I got so focused in the weeds on how to create opportunity for people in the digital realm that you can get so lost in trying to work so hard on creating change. But anyway, one of the things you asked about running and this, that, and the other, one of my colleagues that helps me run the Fuzzy Fandango actually gave me my Christmas present, and this kind of sums up how I think of myself as a runner and coming into this thing. And I'm going to put it on right now. I'm perfectly mediocre. And so he always asked me at the end of a run, how was it? I said, it was perfectly mediocre. And so that's kind of it. So I'm consistently mediocre, and that's the way I view my running ability. But like Bob, albeit my running mileage is a lot less than his, I'll be consistently running.
I need one of those, but I don't wear hats, but I need like a t-shirt.
Isn't that the best?
Yeah.
Like, it is a great cap. It was one of the best Christmas presents I ever received.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Mm-hmm. That is really great. And then Bob, you already mentioned that you would have ran the miles anyways, so we got a little bit of what you were about, but if you wanted to follow up now.
But I live out in the country. Obviously, I have a large farm, a tree farm, the 5th generation here. And we have miles of trail. So for me, it's so easy. I just go out the door, put on my shoes, and away I go. I don't have to drive to a location. And I have multiple options, different trails I could run. If I don't want to run trails, we have miles of back roads that very sparsely traveled. So it's a perfect place for trail running, for ultra running. If I want to do some asphalt road running, we have rails to trails not too far from here. I can actually run from my house to get on those. So yeah, I'm just in a perfect spot to run, and a perfect point in my life too, at my age and my level of responsibilities now. So I have more free time than I had when my children were home, and I'm a school teacher, so I have the summers off, and first thing I do as soon as I get up in the morning, I go for a run. And get my run in, and then I get it on with my day. So I live in a perfect spot to run. Yeah, I have the ideal spot.
That sounds awesome. I want one of those. Big old farm with a bunch of trails on it. I'll leave my house and it's all pavement.
Mm. I try to stay off of pavement as much as I can.
Yeah,
fun
that
that way.
certainly sounds like a really great situation that you got going there, Bob. So now that we kind of know a little bit about why you guys all signed up for Run Across Run Across Ohio, I keep wanting to say Run Across America in my head. Why you all signed up for Run Across Ohio, and a little bit about who you are. What were all of your goals going into this event? Jen, if you want to start us off and
Yeah,
just
I
keep
think,
going that way.
simply was to complete the darn thing, because it was very daunting going into it. I did 107 miles in May, and I thought, how am I going to do 245 in 2 months? And so it was really just to finish, and that was accomplished. So, yeah.
That's great. Yeah. Trevor, what about you?
So for me, I knew my perfectly mediocre expectations. So my goal was to have the 245 by the 9 weeks and do my 27 miles a week and just go through it. And I'm not a very regimented person. So, one day I might run this distance, the next day, I might not run. And then I might run, 4 miles the next day. I just knew what the needed to calculate to, and it gave me a purpose, and it was really cool just to get out there and have a thing to focus on, something positive.
All right. And what about you, Bob?
Okay, I kind of piggybacked this virtual race run with the one I signed up for the 1st of May. It was one that Lazarus Lake put out. It was the Great Virtual Race Across Tennessee. So I had signed up for it in May. And then in June, when Brian's Race Across Ohio, I just kind of piggybacked it. And for the one, the Race Across Tennessee, to go across Tennessee and back, I knew how many miles I had to average a day, and those miles just kind of led into also running miles that were counted towards the Race Across Ohio. So again, I kind of piggybacked the 2 races together, across Tennessee and across Ohio.
Okay. And so, Bob, then you ran virtually across at least 2 states. Any plans to ever run across a state in person, or maybe virtually do all the states?
Well, again, it's so easy just to run the miles on my farm. And I have this thing about asphalt. I love running on grass, leaf matter, pine matter, rocks, dirt. But when it comes to asphalt, that's a different animal. Just how I feel, how I recover from it. And there's also those vehicles you have to put up with. But here on the farm, I don't have to put up with any of that. So I don't know. Probably not. I haven't made it. I have a perfect situation to run, and I don't ever want to leave it. So probably not. If I accumulate the miles here, but actually run it physically, probably not.
Yeah, that's perfectly understandable.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then so what were the biggest surprises for y'all as the weeks of this challenge went on?
I think for me, it was the joy and excitement I had, and that I looked forward to getting miles in every day. That was not something that would have been on my radar before June. And I think the other thing too is my ability to put this as a priority in my life. Everyone in our family knew that we had miles to get in every single day, and it was happening. And if there was something else going on, well, sorry, it's going to have to wait until we get the miles in for the day. And so that was a surprise. And then getting friends of ours roped into the race as well and joining us, and they'd invite us over for dinner. And I'd say, fine, but we have to get miles in. And we did. And it was in their company with their encouragement. And we even traveled to Texas over the summer for a vacation at the end of June, beginning of July. And we got our miles in that Texas San Antonio heat. And it was hotter than all get out, but we were committed to it, and we did it. And it was just that persistence, I think, was the biggest surprise, I think, for me personally.
All right, and you, Trevor?
Yeah, sure. So one of my things that really surprised me, I live in Worcester, and I also get to run Nuhop down in Mohegan State Forest area. So bridge a couple of different communities, right? So when I was out running, I would run into people, literally, not like, you know, tackling them, but I would run into them, and they'd be yelling out to me, "Trevor, we're running across Ohio. You know, we're supporting your organization." And people that, like, I haven't seen for a long time, or people that I didn't expect. I saw some people that I didn't know had that passion for running, or maybe they're like Jen, that's like, oh my gosh, this is my thing now. So it was really amazing to have that connection of humanity all come together, and obviously to support the cause of which I have the privilege of organizing and running Nuhop. So it was just really, I don't know, I love people and what they bring to the world that they're doing this through running. So I was just stimulated by that every day.
Awesome. How about you, Bob?
Well, my wife also signed up to do the run across Ohio. So one thing that surprised me is how the miles she put in. She probably went from running 20, 25 miles a week. She actually had a 40, 50 mile week in there. So we ran all those miles together. So my biggest surprise is probably the amount of miles she ran to get across Ohio. It was good. It was good that we could run all those miles together too.
Awesome.
Yeah. So it seems like a lot of your answers kind of involved community, whether that was in like the form of family, or with Trevor's example of just like seeing people from across the road there. So how do y'all see this event, or maybe events like this growing in the future, or what your participation in events kind of like these might look like in the future?
I think it'll be interesting because, you know, this was the perfect thing that so many people needed during a pandemic, that the momentum to join it was very high. I mean, over 400 people, you know, to do this crazy thing in a short amount of time was amazing. And so I think that momentum will help just carry it in the future. And goodness only knows where Brian's going to take it, because he has just crazy and amazing ideas. But yeah, I see it growing. I've seen people already asking on the Facebook page, is this going to happen again next year? So that's so cool to see that we just finished it and people want it again already. So I'm excited to see, and I will definitely be participating in the future. So
Yeah, that is really great. I'm thinking around the same time I could have used a run across Ohio, but writing my master's thesis version.
that would have been hard.
that structure would have been really good for me. You know, instead of going from having a day totally segmented to having, you know, a day where I could kind of do whatever I wanted. And it kind of seems that you kind of hit on that too, Jen, that like the structure of this, you know, like the plan, right? Like I have to do these miles today. It really motivated everybody who was involved in it. And then what about you, Trevor? Where do you see events like this going, especially, you know, with like Camp Nuhop?
Yeah, so one of the things that's interesting is Brian has some ideas. And so one of the ideas that Brian has for next year actually includes myself and my team, which makes me a little nervous. So the concept might be something of which where it would be a north to south and south to north. So my team would have a relay and we'd be competing against Brian. So he would go south to north, and you know, the perfectly mediocre team would go north to south, and hopefully we could beat them. But I almost wonder if there's an opportunity for, you know, there's a lot of races like the Hooded Coast or the Ragnars or something like that. So if we get post-pandemic, is there an opportunity to do something like that? Who knows? You never know what cockamamie ideas that Brian will come up with to spice it up post-pandemic. But there'll be a new iteration for sure. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, that sounds good. I actually really like that idea of like a Ragnar style relay, or the Speed Project is the name of it. It's a more of like a Roadrunner type thing, but it's a relay that runs from Santa Monica Pier to the Strip in Las Vegas. So sort of similar to that, if we could have like a Route 30 run across Ohio relay. I'm certain that me, John, and Wesley could probably find a few more people to be on our team. I'm not trying to do a 70-mile day for that, at least not in the shape I am now. So yeah, that sounds real great and real exciting. But what about you, Bob? What do you think?
I think it's definitely a win-win situation. Anytime you host an event like that, it gives people that incentive to be active, to go outside and to run, to walk, just to enjoy a good, healthy physical life. But at the same time, you help a good cause such as Camp Nuhop. So yeah, I can see more of those types of events take place where, again, maybe they're not that highly competitive race where you're trying to place high in your age group, but yet you're trying to get your miles in either through hiking, walking, combination, and at the same time raising money for a good cause. So it's a win-win situation. Hopefully we can keep doing more of those events even once this pandemic is over.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so building off of this and this experience, do you all have any other big goals for the rest of 2020? Any long-term future goals? Is there anything, like doing Run Across Ohio, did you learn that, you were capable of doing more and now you've set an even bigger goal maybe that you want to share with us tonight?
I think my goal is just to keep that momentum going, to keep active and to keep moving. We have kids and they have busy lives. And so it's, learning that balance now of fitting in an active lifestyle with our activities of our children and all of that. And so that's for me, my biggest goal. In the midst of doing this, I have been watching my diet and all of that, and I've lost 25 pounds. So I guess that was another surprising thing that I forgot to mention, but it's to keep that going, to keep that healthy lifestyle and to keep moving and keep active. So other than that, I don't have a goal race or to determine to become a runner, but you never know.
Congrats on the weight loss.
Thanks.
Always an exciting part of running.
Yeah.
It allows me to eat more. So.
Yeah. There's
great.
Brendan Leonard, who runs the Semi-Rad blog. He did a great film with REI called How to Run 100 Miles, but he has this thing where 20 miles is automatic pizza. So like if you have a 20-mile day, no matter what happens in the rest of the day, he'll just always order pizza. And I have also embraced that attitude. So, but yeah, what about you, Trevor?
I think consistency. So just continuing to go down that path. And I think a goal for myself is I start to ramp up miles once it gets to fall and winter and just get to the point where I can roll off the couch and, run a 25K if I feel like it. And I'm not there right now, but I think that would be a good goal as we move into the fall and winter.
All right. And what about you, Bob?
Definitely want to stay healthy. I'm putting in quite a few more miles than I did last year, but I feel good. Again, I think it's a type of running I do that allows me to put in higher mileage. Hopefully, the Mohican 100 goes off. I'm signed up for that. It'll be the end of October, and then the Fuzzy coming up. So there are a few races on the horizon. Hopefully, they're not canceled or postponed. But definitely my goal for 2020 is to stay healthy, to get the miles in, and really hope for 20 been canceled that was in reopen and get a chance to run them.
Awesome. Speaking of the Fuzzy, since we have the Fuzzy's RD, you want to elaborate a little bit on that and kind of what you guys are thinking maybe? I don't want to put you in the hot seat too much, but
Yes, we're thinking that the typical 550 number will drop to 400, and the 400 will be split between 2 days. So it would be two Fuzzies, a Saturday and a Sunday, and then each race would be run the different times, but there would be time slots for people, maybe based off of prediction time. And then, 5 people go at 9 o'clock, 5 more people go at 9:03, 5 more people at 9:06, so on and so forth, and have a little truncated thing, all assuming that we can get a permit from the state forest. Although we have some other tricks up our sleeves, we're talking to some of our other friends in some of the other jurisdictions. So we've gotten some permissions. So my board's on board. Brian's on board for trying to create a safe environment. So we're gonna see if we can pull it off. So the plan is, if all the stars align, we're going for it. Mask though, we're gonna have some wicked cool swag that's gonna deal with that.
I was just on the Burning Rivers race website, and they were selling masks on their store, and I just noticed that. I didn't realize, but I'm not surprised, but I just didn't realize that people were going to start putting their like logo on masks and selling them.
Yeah, right here.
Yep. So it's a good idea though. It's like the best advertisement you can get out there.
Yeah, it'll be fun, and it'll remind us, when we put that thing on the wall after 2020 to say, man, look at that, wasn't that crazy back then? And it's almost like your own medal. You can leave that one on the wall. We don't need that anymore.
Of all of the 2020 predictions coming into this year that I had, like with my goals and everything else, getting a free mask in race swag was not something that I ever would have expected to happen. So it's good that we're kind of all making this work. As unexpected as it has been. And so, as mentioned earlier, Wesley is gone, but currently active in the chat, or at least somebody using his name is. And he says he's listening on mute currently, and that we would all make great mimes, especially Trevor.
Thank you, I think.
But he did have a serious question. He did say, what were some of the ways that you all stayed motivated during the run across Ohio? Sometimes you may not have want to, or if you're going out for your friends for those dinners and you're just like, oh, we could just, hang back one night. But what was that plan?
We had a Google spreadsheet that we used, our group of friends and us, to log our miles, so that when we got the weekly email from Brian, we knew exactly what to plug in there. And I did not want an empty square. So that was one big motivating piece, and to keep it going is I didn't want to be the one that had a blank in there. So simple little thing, but it worked. So.
And for myself, my wife and my son both did this as well. And so my wife is quite competitive. She stands 5'1" on a good day, and she can crush me when she wants to. And it just I didn't want to lose. So it's just the way it is, and and my son, he's a high school cross country runner, and just kind of a family affair, which was pretty cool.
What about you, Bob? You there?
So I think we might be having some technical difficulties.
Bob did say he lived in a farm, so he's kind of in the middle of nowhere.
With lots of trees around.
Yeah.
Anytime you document something on a daily basis, that's a little bit of incentive. You never want to see a blank staring. Okay. Can you see?
I'm trying to see if I can even make out a single word.
We got a couple of phrases there.
Yeah.
Hey Bob, if you can hear us, if you want to mute your video and see if we can get your audio going.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting real choppy right now.
Yeah.
Oh, and he's gone.
I think he disconnected. Well, a little bit of fun Ridge Runners trivia for all of you at home is that Wesley and John are the only people who can do tech stuff, and that my master's degree involved very little technological computer kind of stuff. I'm basically just a questions guy. So while we work on trying to get Bob back on the show, if you would, Trevor, we've talked a little bit about what Run Across Ohio is for. We've mentioned, there were 435 participants, 111 people had a gold medal for 245 miles in just under 5 weeks. Tell us a little bit about the good that this did for Camp Nuhop. I don't know how specific you want to be, but yeah, just take it away.
So the interesting thing for me for Camp Nuhop, just a background, my parents actually started this in '74, so I'm second generation, and we are a 501c3, and it's interesting trying to carry on that legacy of perpetuating something forward. I took over in 2008 when my dad died. I think 2008 when he didn't know anything, global crisis with an economic crisis. Well, we got through that. Now we have a pandemic, and so for us, our whole model is getting people together, whether it's a residential summer camp for kids with special needs or outdoor education. Those things, we usually put about 8,500 people together in a year's time. And so our whole business is based off of providing that safe, nurturing, dynamic learning environment where people are empowered to succeed, whether we're doing a trail run or whatever else. So we can't do that during a pandemic. We can't get people together. So we've lost about 80% of our overall cash for the year. So of what we should have. So this type of thing is going to help us survive and get to the other side of the pandemic. So the meaning of this to us is that through events like this and other things that we're doing collectively as an organization, we will live to see another day and be able to serve people for another, hopefully 46 years. It's been around for 46 years. So it means more than people know because it's there's a lot of families out there counting on us. So I'll get choked up about that. So I really love all of you that helped make this happen. You have no idea.
Yeah,
I work on the other end to jump in just for a second of working with people with special needs, and I see the benefit that the Camp Trevor runs has on these kids. So that was another reason for me to jump into this event too, was to be able to support something that helps the kids that I work with is a no-brainer too. So kudos, Trevor, for doing such an amazing job.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's always great to hear about how communities can come together in these times of needs and really help each other out. But it looks like we might have Bob back. It appears he's transitioned rooms.
Oh yeah, we had to move up a flight of stairs, so hopefully it works better.
All right. Well, I can hear you fine on my end. John, how is he?
He's good.
All right. So I am trying to remember.
Have to motivate.
What was the? Yeah, that was the question that you cut out during. Thanks, John.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, I think just documenting. Nobody wants to see that blank space looking at them, and each day, and again, with my wife doing the race across Ohio, any day she went out and ran, and if I didn't run, I'd feel a little guilty. So, yeah, just hold each other accountable and never want to see that one day of the week where that was a big motivator and keep going.
Seems to be a common theme amongst everybody is the not wanting to see a 0 on a day or not wanting to, have their family member beat them.
Right.
I know something that motivates me a lot when running is trying to beat Wesley. And that's all fun and games until you're at an aid station at, I think, like mile 34 of the Shawnee 50, and you get told he's about 2 hours ahead of you.
Yeah.
And you're like, this race isn't going to plan, is it?
Or even in the Run Across Ohio, like we both signed up for it, and
yeah,
I was like in 3 weeks in, and I looked at Wesley's thing, and he was like 200, almost 200 miles, a little over 200 miles. He did the 100-miler for Shawnee, and I was like, I'm at like 100 miles. Wesley's over 200, and I'm like, okay, this isn't fair.
Yeah, even when he's not here with us, he's here with us because we've got to talk about him. So Brian Poland, believe it or not, he's watching this too. Had a question in the chat for you, Trevor, and he says, "You are one of the 3 people who has seen the full-length documentary about Run Across Ohio." And he says, without spoiling it, so no spoilers, right? What can you tell us about the documentary?
So the documentary is almost a feature film. It's about 55 minutes long, and it captures the whole experience from the morning to the end. And here's how I know it was good. My employee Josh, it was serendipitous that I hired him last year, and he had the skill set of being a videographer. The fact that he was able to capture that whole experience and the roller coaster, we'll call it a roller coaster towards the tail end. But my daughter came in, my 15-year-old daughter, and I said, "Hey, we're gonna look at this thing," and we're watching it, this, that, and the other, and she's like, "Dad, this is really good." And so I got, at 55 minutes with my 15-year-old daughter because she was compelled to watch it. So that tells you a little bit about how good this thing really is. So I think people are going to really enjoy it when it gets released. It's pretty amazing.
I'm excited to watch it. You got a 15-year-old to watch it for the entirety of it, then it's got to be a good movie.
It's got to be good.
Yeah.
It's really good. And it's cool, if you think about like Ohio, like I almost think like the governor needs to watch it because like it's going across all the small towns that we all experienced when we had all those little weekly check-ins where we had the little video footage, and just seeing those towns and in essence getting to have part of that experience of those communities of which we all live. It's a pretty neat and powerful thing about the state that we live in. So how awesome is that to showcase? Hey, we are Ohio. This is pretty great. We're not just those great cornfields that Brian got to run through on miles and miles and miles on end, but it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, maybe tweet at the governor when it comes out. You get him to maybe put on his COVID special announcements like he's done with a lot of other uplifting stuff. So it'd be a good place for it.
I think so. Absolutely.
It'd bring a lot of awareness too to the camp. So
let's tweet at them all day long.
Yeah, we can do it. You guys heard it. As soon as that comes out, everyone's going to tweet at Governor DeWine.
You guys, you all heard it here first. So moving on, we've got some more questions that we want to ask. They're a little bit more about running. And I was also thinking, let's flip the order so we can have Bob take a couple of turns going first.
Okay.
I feel a little bit like we're late getting to him down there. So what, for all y'all, if you could run with one person in the history of the world, let's say that they're going to run most, if not every step of the Run Across Ohio with you. Maybe if they get too annoying, you can kick them out, right? I don't know who y'all are going to pick. But if you could run with one person in the history of the world for that, who would it be? And you can start us off, Bob.
Oh, boy. Well, that's a good one. I would have to think, since I consider myself more of an ultra runner than a marathoner or a road runner, probably someone like Scott Jurek. Met Scott a couple of years ago at Boston. He had a book signing and just I was in line to get his book and only had a few minutes, not even that, just a few moments to chat with him, and really seemed like a down to earth guy, and just one thing I noticed, he's about my same build, about my same height, and just it was just pretty cool the few little bit of time I had to talk with him. So I think it'd be pretty cool to go with a little run with Scott Jurek, just with his background and some of the iconic races he has run. Some of those I kind of have on my bucket list. Maybe I'll get them, maybe I won't, but it'd be kind of nice to pick somebody's brain like that, especially during a nice long run. So I'd have to say Scott Jurek would be the guy I'd want to go for a long run with.
Fantastic choice. What about you, Trevor? Who would you pick?
I don't really have a great answer, but I was so compelled last year when Laz's race, the backyard ultra, and just watching Maggie go for the win. And you think about going back and forth, and she was kind enough last year to sponsor the Fuzzy, and just getting to chat with her prior to that, and just seeing that story unfold and like to have that experience with somebody that has that type of grit. Like Bob said, you can learn a lot from folks that are tenacious, and so I think she would be somebody that would be really interesting to cruise down the trail with.
Yeah, she's a beast. What about you, Jen? Who would you run with or walk?
Yeah, I don't know many runners. I mean, I know some names and from people Brian has brought into the Akron when he was back with the Akron Marathon, just being involved with that. But, you know, I did all of my miles for Run Across Ohio with my husband, and he's a runner, and I can't imagine doing it with anybody else again. So I'll have to say Scott Call.
He'll probably be excited.
That is just an incredibly sweet answer, actually.
Yeah, I know.
Not at all what I expected. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah. Anyways, so moving on from that, do you guys have any pre-race rituals, or was there anything that you would do every day, like before or after, some kind of ritual that you had around Run Across Ohio that wasn't just running, maybe? And Bob, if you could start us off again.
Well, something I do before any race is I lay my clothes out, my bib. I have my bib on. I have everything ready, so all I have to do is basically crawl out of bed and slip them on. And even if I'm doing an early morning run, everything's laid out, socks, everything I need. If I'm wearing a hydration pack, it's loaded. So, you know, I don't want to have to think about what I need when I get up that morning. So I take care of that the night before. As far as post race, it's just usually after, especially I have an ultra, I have one of those stomachs where when I finish an ultra, I don't want to eat anything. I don't want to drink anything. And it takes quite a while before my stomach settles down where I can eat or drink. So mostly my post race, if I have anything at all, it's just trying to collect myself and to get to the point where I can't start eating and drinking again. So that's pretty much my pre-race and post-race.
Good ritual.
Like Bob, I do the same thing. I like to get all my stuff ready, and a little anal tentative about that. But my pre-race, like the night before, I'm kind of notorious for being made fun of because I really don't think about eating right. So, I've eaten some really obscure things the day before a race, and sometimes that works out well, and sometimes that is not a terribly good choice. And so there's always one ritual. There is always one IPA the night before a race. So that is something that happens. And then post race, depending upon context, same thing. The gut, it takes a little while, and then once I get through that, drink some good electrolytes, then I enjoy the after experience with my fellow runners.
All right, and you, Jen?
I really battled, especially with Run Across Ohio towards the end, some major blistering and things like that. And so Tri-Slide became a good bud of mine before any walk. I made sure I put that on, and just taking care of my feet and being able to get through those last couple miles was a challenge. So I think that's something that moving forward, you know, I'm going to be more conscientious about, and will become a ritual to make sure that I'm, you know, taking care of those kinds of things so that my feet are going to be able to carry me for many more miles.
All right. And then, so kind of a recurring question that I've been asking a lot during this show. And for those of you who don't know, I'm actually working on a playlist with all of these songs. But if ultra running, or just, you know, running in general, had walk-up songs like in baseball, what would your song be? Or what was the song that you listened to most during Run Across Ohio, or something like that?
Trevor, you want to go first with this one?
Oh yeah, so I ran into this band a couple years ago. I was driving down to Asheville, North Carolina, and there was this band called Cloud Cult. Have you ever heard of it? Any of you in the screen?
No.
So amazing, like really, really, they're all over the place out of Minnesota, and I've just been hooked. And so they have this song called "Everything You Thought You Had," and I just love that song, and it just builds and builds upon each other, and they have some really interesting lyrics, and I love lyrics. Lyrics are the most important thing to me, and so like this band is just amazing. So that's the one that's really sticking to me. It played a lot in my playlist during this, a lot of Cloud Cult. And so Everything You Thought You Had, you got to Google it.
One more time, what's the band? Everyone got
Cloud
it?
Cult, Cloud Cult.
All right, everyone write that down.
Right.
I
don't
hope you're
worry,
as hooked
John,
as I am. I'm a little
I got
odd,
it.
so you have
Yeah, we'll give it a shot. Courtesy of Tracy Falbo and the continued joke with Travis Zippel. The playlist already does have 9 to 5 by Dolly Parton and
that's
Old
great.
Town Road on it. So it's going to be a little eclectic. I hope everyone's prepared for that. But then, what about you, Bob? Was there any music that you listened to during the run across Ohio?
I don't. I mean, I've never run with music. Again, I'm kind of a naturalist. I love listening to the birds, just whatever's taking place and on the trails I'm running. The wind blowing through the trees. I love listening to my own breathing. So I've never been a guy that listens to music, but I will say this: I've run the Columbus Marathon a few times, and when they start that race with Bruce Springsteen, "Born to Run," that's pretty cool. I mean, that's a cool song to start a race with. But as far as personally, I don't listen to any music when I run. I listen to nature. That's my music. So.
Yeah, can attest. I've run the Columbus half a few times. It's the same start. They shoot off the fireworks and they play "Born to Run," and somehow I felt like I could hear it for like the first 20 minutes of the race. I don't know how that works.
Well, yeah, the big speakers they have, and they turn them around. The blasts towards you, so you probably hear them for a good half mile at least, or whatever. But no, that adds to the whole vibe too. When you're there and they have all the speakers and everything's like really loud, and you're like, oh yeah, now
cool.
It's like
really cool.
Yeah. My watch was freaking out. It was saying that I had a 200 heart rate 20 seconds into the race. It's like, I wonder why. They're shooting off fireworks 100 feet in front of me. But yeah, and then what about you, Jen?
I didn't listen to a lot of music just because my husband was with me, and so it was more talking and that kind of thing. But I'm a big fan of, and whenever I do walk and listen to music, of popping in like the 80s and 90s hits. And so I can't think of any one in particular, but yeah, good 80s and 90s tunes.
Okay.
What's next, Wesley?
Yeah. So, kind of keeping with the theme, we've talked about the future a few times already in this show, sort of like the future of the run across Ohio. But in, let's say, the next decade, is there any one long-term goal that any of y'all have your sights set on? Like maybe a race that, I want to run this in a couple of years, something like that? Bob, if you want to start us off.
Well, if you're an ultra runner, I think the top of the list has to be UTMB in Chamonix, France. You go around Mount Blanc, from the French Alps to the Italian Alps, Swiss Alps, and back. That's a Super Bowl of 100 milers of ultra running. So I think that would be the ultimate. If I were to pick one goal race yet to run, then that'd be the top of my list. There's a couple iconic ones. I did Western a few years ago, Western States, and I'm accumulating tickets again for that one. I would love to run that one again, but I would say the top of my list right now. I'd like to go out there and toe the line at UTMB. It'd be a good one.
Yeah, it's a good answer. We were just talking about the Columbus Marathon start environment. If you've never seen videos from UTMB of what that start line looks like for a 100-mile race, I would totally recommend it. The atmosphere not only around the whole race, but just like that moment on the start line, and then with all the different finishers as they come in, just seems really incredible.
Yeah.
All right, and then we'll just keep flipping the order up. What about you, Jen? What are you long-term goals?
Yeah, I can't think of any offhand. I've done some 5Ks in the past, so maybe to change it up and put a challenge to maybe challenge myself to do a 10K at some point in the future.
Yeah, that's really great. And then what about you, Trevor?
So I kind of got my eye on stage race. I think that'd be pretty cool. You know, if you think about the theme of the Run Across Ohio, Brian did that in 3 days. But you know, I think the Trans Rockies or something along those lines, where you have day after day after day after day of that experience with a festival type of. I kind of like the liveliness of hanging out with humanity. So I think that'd be a lot of fun. And I used to live in the Rockies in my early 20s. So coming full circle, that'd be terrific.
Yeah, that sounds really great. So what I'm hearing is that we just need to put on a stage race version of the Run Across Ohio, where I believe Trans Rockies isn't self-supported, but you know, we could set it up where we have pre-reserved campsites every day, something like that. That we'll have to. We put that idea out there. You know, somebody write that down and hold on to it for us.
It's a fun idea. That could have some legs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so thinking about the people who, you know, maybe that you told about Run Across Ohio and they were just like, oh, well, I couldn't imagine doing something like that. Or, you know, or you tell them that you ran however long, you know, and they hit you with the classic thing that I hear a lot, which is, oh, I don't even like to drive that far. What would you tell them about your experience with Run Across Ohio, and why, maybe if they're interested or thinking about doing it themselves, why should they do it? And Bob, if you heard us, I know you were moving the camera around there. If you could start us off.
Yeah, having issues again. You know, it's obviously it's you know, like I said earlier, it's a win-win. You can kind of get that habit of exercising on a regular basis. You can you know, you use that time not only to benefit your health, but also to benefit a worthy cause. Doesn't have to be Camp Nuhop. There's plenty other charitable organizations that benefit from these style of runs, these types of runs. So, I think it's just do something good for yourself, and at the same time do something good for a charitable organization. Be a good reason why.
Yeah, I think that win-win is such an important aspect of that.
So can you still hear me? Or
Yep.
Yep.
I think I must be off again.
You were
Mm-hmm.
cutting in and out, but we got some of it. If you couldn't understand it, seems like what Bob was trying to say was that it is a win-win, like we've said before, and doing something like the Run Across Ohio, it helps yourself because it helps you get active, and it helps you have like strong goals and a routine and commitment to something. And it also helps a really great organization like Camp Nuhop, and it helps raise money for them. So you think with each step you're helping somebody else out and you're also helping yourself out.
True. Absolutely. Yes.
All right. And then what about you, Trevor?
So one of the things I think is really interesting about these type of things and getting people involved is, I don't know, with the right structure and the right environment, you can guide people to a new comfort zone. And I think by, I don't know, making it accessible and making it something that's positive, no matter what we do with people. I think if we create those type of environments and we get people there, that we can impact their lives in positive ways. You know, I've heard a lot of stories over the years of people that have gotten involved in things like the Run Across Ohio or the Fuzzy or other races, whatever it is. And they set goals for themselves and they're like, oh man, I did that. I can, gosh, like wow, that was amazing. And so like, if we come alongside people and we help them get there, and then, wow, we did this, now I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this. And it just kind of perpetuates that goodness and moving forward. So that's kind of how I like to think about these type of events, that we are a collective of people that kind of support one another and do some really neat things. And that's kind of how I think about these type of experiences.
Yeah, that's a really great way of putting it. And I mean, I've been saying this for a while, but the community is what kept me coming back to trail and ultra running. And one thing I would say to people myself is, if you're interested in this, but you don't want to commit to doing a big run, volunteer at a race and come out and see what the community is like and interact with people. I know I showed up to races alone as a volunteer, like kind of scared, kind of nervous, and people were really great. People were super accepting, and I also got to help people out on those days. It was really a great way to see the community without committing to, running 30, 40, 50 miles myself. So yeah, and then what about you, Jen?
I think everything Bob and Trevor said, and that sense of accomplishment and helping others. Our group of friends that did this, it needed that motivation, that reminder, did you get your miles in today? Or, that kind of thing. So I think building those bonds with people is what, is going to help motivate other people and that success that you can achieve. So.
I think one question we forgot to ask earlier was total mileage. What did each of you
yes.
rack up for the whole 9 week, or was it 9 weeks officially, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I had 245, just over 245.7, I think it was. But at the end, like I said, I was battling some major blisters, so I was happy to get it finished and get those done a day early. So.
Yeah, that's great. And what about you, Trevor?
I'm looking it up right now. So I'm trying to figure that out. He's 268 miles is what it says right here. 268.
Okay.
Nice.
All right. And then Bob, you already said you would have ran the miles anyway. How many did you end up with?
Well, I believe I had a little over 700 miles.
Just say
Only
7.
700.
So the race across Tennessee, I had to average a little over 10 miles a day. I had to average 10 miles a day, a little over 10 miles a day to get to the point I wanted to go across and back. So that was an added incentive, and I had the time to run. I was off this summer, so hey, it worked out. It was it was for a good cause, and I knew every mile I put in was college hills was adding some extra money for every mile. So it was a good incentive to run a little more than normal.
Well, I think I just set a new goal for myself. I want to be Bob Hunter when I get older. Yeah. That's what I want to do.
between owning the farm and the 700 miles, you can't really go wrong.
No.
Very impressive.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I do want to say something like the Run Across Ohio really demonstrates is that, not everyone's miles are the same and not everyone's goals are the same. And you're doing great, whether you're getting out there just to walk around the block, or you're walking at the back of the pack of an ultra, or you're like our buddy Travis Zippel and you're 200 yards off the front, a quarter mile into the thing. We're all out there doing these things for ourselves and to be a part of this bigger community. And I think that's really just great that we can all participate in something like this.
Absolutely. Any other final comments or closing remarks from anybody?
Just being the organization that's benefited from this, and for the families that we get to serve. Once again, it's really cool to see how this has come together, and thank you to everybody.
And where can everyone find your website or more information to support, help, and learn more about what you guys do?
So our website is pretty simple. It's nuhop.org, nuhop.org, and there's a lot of information in the programs that we talked a lot about as the summer camp for kids with special needs. So
we'll put that link in the description, and everyone should go check it out if they haven't yet. I think that's everything for this evening. I want to say thanks to everyone who took the time out of this lovely Thursday evening to hang out with us. Thank you guys for being on the show with us. Thanks for doing amazing jobs with your miles, getting it done, blisters, getting it done in 700 miles. It's all awesome. Make sure you guys like, subscribe if you enjoy our content, and we will see you all next week.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
See
Thank
you
you.
guys.